Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's Sunday Night Live. It's another draw for Manchester United. I think things are changing in relation to Jose Mourinho and people's opinions. However, we do welcome back somebody who's not been on for quite a while from overseas, Joey. Great to have him back. He's our guest. I've got things to say. I'm sure you've got things to say. But without knowing what Joey's going to say while I put the live comments up, Joey, thoughts on today and the bigger picture for Manchester United and top four?
Today was just a lot of average performances. It was a strange game. The first half it went by so fast with neither team really getting into the game. We get the goal through an error. You look at that Stecklenburg error really gifted us a goal because other than that, we were just average, like I had been saying. Jose's been very underwhelming this season in terms of his decisions, in terms of tactics. He's tried to play defensive towards the end of the games, trying to protect 1-0 leads or 1-goal leads, and it's blown up in his face almost every time. I'm excited to talk about it and see what the live comments say. It's good to be back, I'm excited. I'm sure we're gonna get talking about Fellaini, whether that was the right substitution, which I would say 99% of people think it wasn't, but yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the live comments say. I'm excited to be back again. Thanks. I don't know where Mark went. Oh, he's back.
Sorry, Joey. I'm just trying.
Oh, you're fine.
Well, it's interesting because what I'm doing is this isn't interesting what I'm doing. I'm trying to sort out the live comments. But Ross, who's normally on the show, he said to me that he tweeted into the group. He said, this is why I ran off to get my phone, that he's now 50-50 when it comes to Jose Mourinho. He said, fans cannot allow or put up with silly substitutions like that any longer, which it is interesting, I think. I don't know whether you mentioned it there, Joey, but what were your thoughts? Because I will mention, I think there's three big mistakes from Mourinho today. But what I would say is, I'm firmly behind him, but I'll have that to say in a minute. What was your thoughts about the Fellaini substitution? Because there's a lot of different ones, ranging from Gary Neville to Stan Collymore to Mark Goldbridge to Joey Tabor. But what were your thoughts on that Fellaini substitution?
Well, I just think that given the history, like I was saying, when you went away, that Jose's tried to protect these 1-goal leads and gone defensive in the last 10-15 minutes, and it's blown up in his face every single time. I understand that you want to bring on, the height because they're going to be pumping balls into the box. They had grown into the game real late, and they were, you had Lukaku dropping 20 yards back trying to win the ball back, and you could see a sense of urgency from them. I don't understand him in that position. I get the height thing, but when you have players like Morgan Schneiderlin, a center defensive midfielder, I don't think he was on the bench. Schweinsteiger, I don't think he was on the bench. And even I would rather have Daley Blind playing defensive midfield. It wasn't the right move, especially with 5 minutes to go. You want, the United way is to go, kill the game off, get the second goal. We were really unlucky not to. That one where Herrera hits the corner of the post. It was unfortunate, but in the end of the day, it was almost like karma came back and bit us because, Rojo should have been sent off, and there were some stupid decisions. Like I said, when you went away, Stecklenburg absolutely gifted us a goal. And we weren't very good today. We're just very average. So you put all those things together, and you could just see it coming. I saw it coming. I said to myself, we're going to draw this game 1-1. They had grown into the game, like I had said. But with 5 minutes to go, we should be protecting the lead. I understand, the idea behind putting the guy on. He's, taller than everybody else. Jose put his faith in him, and it was, he got smacked in the face by Fellaini. And hopefully, we've seen Jose Mourinho. I was thinking back to when Chicharito missed that penalty, and Giggs and LVG just looked at each other. I'm hoping it's a similar moment where Rui Ferrara and Jose just look at each other and go, well, that's it. He's done.
I hope you're right. What's sad for me, before I just talk about some of the live comments, what's sad for me is that I often say this, that your opinions as fans is up there with any ex-pro who gets paid a load of money or any manager who gets paid a load of money. That was proved with Van Gaal. And what's sad for me, and I think it's sad for many United fans, is that we had to see what Mourinho didn't know today, and that was car crash waiting to happen, chucking Fellaini into your penalty box to try and defend a lead. I mean, we shouldn't have been defending a lead anyway. I don't know why we've not learnt that message, as Joey said. How many games have we just let go? I mean, the Arsenal one was the obvious one. We've tried to defend a game that we dominated for 5 minutes. Why? And against Everton, they weren't really creating anything. So why do we suddenly just say, come and have a go, come and have a go? And thirdly, Fellaini, he isn't actually that good in the air. If you want to defend the ball in the air, put Bailly on the pitch. If he's on the bench, he's got to be fit. So put Bailly on the pitch. But he shouldn't be anywhere near the bench anyway. And I put the blame. I actually don't blame Fellaini. Fellaini's crap as far as I'm concerned, but he doesn't put himself on the pitch in that situation. I thought it was a shocking substitution. I do back the manager. I think he's the right man. But as Joey says there, I hope he's just had that wake-up moment, because the longer Fellaini stays part of the United squad, the more bad results we'll have like this. Glenn Island says top 4 isn't gone. We need a run of 5 games and we're not... See, I'm fed up of this, personally. I'm fed up of we need to go on a run of 5 winning games. We were saying this a few games ago. We were definitely saying it before the West Ham game, and that's 2 games we should have won. We've took 2 points and let 4 go. So, for me, top 4, park it. I mean, if somebody implodes and we somehow manage to win games, I would love it, but it's gone for me. Today was it. I can't go back and lie from what I said before the game. We had to win. It's gone. And I also think there's going to be more drop. There's going to be more blips. We're not capable. I don't know what your thoughts are, Joey, but I don't think we are capable of going on a run, because we had the 3 points today and we gifted them. We had the 3 points against Arsenal. We gifted them. This team, I know what Mourinho's trying to do. He's trying to do what he did at Chelsea and at Madrid sometimes, which is he'll get in front and he'll close a game off. But he hasn't got the players to do that. Our defence is not good enough to do that.
No, it's not, especially with Rojo and Jones. Jones has been impressive, they keep saying, but, I'm still, we know that he's going to get injured in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's just inevitable. It's because it's what history tells us, and it just keeps repeating itself. So, Jose's trying to do this, and if you would have asked anybody before the game, that was the team, barring the injuries to the defense, that we wanted to see. Yeah. And I just thought they weren't very good. I really don't like when Zlatan drops deep. I understand he does it to get on the ball and get a bit into the game, but I think it really hurts us. But as far as top 4, I don't think it's gone. I think, the teams that are in the top 4 to 5 right now, they've all had periods where they've been very good. Arsenal went on that unbeaten run. At Chelsea are on an unbelievable run. It's not gone yet. It's close, but I think you look at the game next week. We have Spurs, I believe it is. If they could somehow get that win, which nothing has shown us that they're gonna win. So I'm a very optimistic person. But if we couldn't beat Arsenal when we had it in the bag, we were all over Arsenal. It's hard to think. How are we gonna beat Spurs? But we'll see. If they pull out a win against Spurs, that things can change around just like that. As bad as you can get, one little thing can turn it around. But I would ask you, and I would ask, the commenters, is it all in for Europa League now? Do you have to put all those eggs in that basket? Because that's a tough competition to win.
It is ridiculous for us to be saying the first week in December, should we be focusing on the Europa League? I mean, that makes me feel very sad, but I think we're architects. The weird thing with United is we're architects of our own downfall, because when you were saying about Spurs then, I think we'll beat Spurs next week. I think we're very good at Old Trafford, and I think we've got a great team. But we've been the architects of our own downfall, because we've dropped so many points at home and away, today being another 2. So I just think that if we'd won today, we would have been 7 points off City, and I think Liverpool as well. And that's just, we're 9 now. 7 points with City playing the way they are, with no Aguero for 4 games. They've got to play Arsenal in the next few games. We could have got that down to 4 points by Christmas, and I'd be thinking, you know what? I mean, I'll still stick by it. If we're within 5 points of anybody in 4th place by New Year's Day, then, we've got a chance. But I just don't trust us. I mean, I don't understand how we didn't win that game today. I just don't understand, because... Well, I do know, because he made a really stupid substitution. However, I want to move on to something here. There was a comment in... Yeah, Samuel Asante says, today was probably the worst performance I've seen from Pogba this season. And I'm glad somebody said that, because I think it is a really relevant thing to pick up on. Seem to have lost your visuals, Joey. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kill this call and call you back within a second, if that's okay.
Yep, that's fine.
It does this on Skype sometimes, but I'm well on top for getting it sorted out. So Pogba today, I sort of wanted him to be substituted, to be honest. I thought he was... I don't think he had a bad game in the defensive side of things, but I think his... in the final third, he was really, really, really poor. And I think that was... I think this is probably one of my third problems with United at the moment. But what were your thoughts on Pogba today, Joey?
Just average. He did give the ball away quite a bit. When he gets the ball on the edge of the box, he's always trying to dribble through players. He's trying to get on his foot, trying to curl it into the top corner. And I think he's trying to force the issue too much. I feel like that price tag weighs on him a little bit. He can say it doesn't bother him, but I think you can tell, he feels like he has to score goals or he has to do this. I just want him to play his game, be a center midfielder, have your freedom, create, if it's there, we know he has a lovely shot, just I would say just relax. And I would hope Jose Mourinho would say that to him. Yeah, I mean, probably today was one of his, the whole team was just average today. But to pick him out, yeah, you could say he was one of the, the more poorer players in the side today.
I mean, Categor HD says Pogba out, you guys are laughable. I don't know whether you're talking about us or people in the live comments. Andrew Ellis says Pogba wants too many touches. Surinder says Pogba has gone on Facebook and started. He gives his all for United. Pogba was awful, he ruined the game, says Davoke. I mean, I'm not, I'd pick Pogba next week. I mean, I'm not saying that, but I think my issue is, right, there's three things, I may as well get into them because the show's been going for a few minutes. There's three things for me that I think are a big problem. And if you are Mourinho out, then I think you're wrong, but this is the platform to come and have your say about it, and we'll certainly read your comments as to why that is. I'm not Mourinho out, and we'll talk about that a bit more in a bit, but I think he made three big mistakes today, and I think the sooner he rectifies these mistakes, the better. The first one being that the Fellaini one. I mean, he never should have done that, and he needs to learn that very quickly. The second one, Pogba and Zlatan, it's basically 2 and 3, and I'll get Joey's thoughts on this. I think that game, and United's problem this season so often has been the inability to get the second goal and kill the game off. I said it at half time. What Everton will do is because Everton did have 8 men behind the ball. They were very hard. It was like Joey said, it was a mistake by their keeper, and it was a welcome mistake because it got us in front. And they were really trying to not, they were really quite defensive for a home side. They had their tactics. That's the way they want to do it. Second half, I basically said it at half time. Everton are going to have to go further forward. We've got to hit them on the break. And ideally, I felt that Zlatan didn't have a great game. He's always capable of getting a goal like he did, but I didn't think he had a great game. I didn't think Pogba had a great game. And I think it was crying out for a brave decision of Mata on at 10 and definitely Rashford on their back line so we can stretch them on the break. It's too easy to defend against Zlatan. And I think, unfortunately, he's shown it time and time again. He picks Zlatan in games I wouldn't pick him in, like Europa League and League Cup games. He never subs him, and he's never going to sub Pogba. And I think that we've spoke Fellaini, so that was big mistake one. But I think those two mistakes are quite big when we're not getting the second goal, Joey. And I don't expect those to change. And it's a real shame that Marcus Rashford is not going to get any use as in the position that he is. And I think the last 20 minutes of the game today, I'm not saying Zlatan was shocking. It's just tactics. It's what most big clubs do. You change a game. You go a little bit different. And I think last 20 minutes, Rashford, number 9, stretching their defence was the way to go. But I don't think he's going to do it.
Yeah, I don't like that he doesn't sub Zlatan or Pogba. I mentioned this earlier. I don't know if you were aware that I don't like how Zlatan comes short for the ball all the time, and I think that really hurts us, especially when we're 1-0 up. When you need, let's stretch their back line. Let's hit them on the break. Let's get some pace in there. I agree completely. I would have taken Mkhitaryan, put him in Pogba's position, put him centrally. And put Mata on the right. But yeah, Mata, can lock a defense. I didn't think, we got Mkhitaryan involved as much as we could. I don't like him on the wing. I like him more central, but that's not going to happen with the current midfield three that we have. But I agree with the Zlatan thing. I think Marcus Rashford should have came on the last 10, 15, 20 minutes and should have just stretched their back line. Should have just ran at Funes Mori and caused havoc. And also, Martial is a bit, we saw Rashford give away the cross against the Ox against Arsenal. I think Martial is a bit better defensively on that wing. I would have kept Martial on as well.
Yeah, I mean, just very quickly, because we're going to move on to this big Jose out thing. There's a load of people in the live comments talking about it, and it is the United Stand. It is your channel, and we will talk about it. But I do want to just say that you can't move away from we talk about the big mistakes, Fellaini and everything like that. I suppose there's a bigger picture than that. Is that why does what annoyed me about the Arsenal and today's game, apart from the bloody obvious that we gifted wins away that were there on the plate, was that once those goals went in, it wasn't the last kick of the game. There was still a few minutes, and there was still a few minutes against Arsenal. But because of his substitutions, we leave ourselves with nowhere to go. It's like all or nothing the other way, because we basically go, shut up shop, but if they get a goal, we ain't got anywhere to go. And we didn't have anywhere to go. We were hitting the right long balls to try and get a goal. I think Everton actually went back again, but we didn't have anything to do. Martial was my man of the match. People can argue with me about that, but I thought he didn't have a lot of joy, but he was all effort. He always wanted the ball, and he set the goal up. Mkhitaryan, I thought he played well. I agree with the substitution. I think he was fading, but that's going to happen. It was a very physical game, and maybe Martial was fading as well, but no more so than he was no more ineffective than Zlatan. I don't like it, and I don't know what you think, Joey. I think you might agree. I don't like Manchester United are bigger than Jose Mourinho. Manchester United are bigger than Zlatan. They're bigger than Pogba. We never liked it with Rooney, so we can't be hypocrites and say we like it with other players. I think he's got, you can almost predict who's coming off. I predicted Martial or Mkhitaryan for Rashford, and when Fellaini was coming on, I was trying to figure out. I was like, who's he going to bring off? Because you can't take Herrera off because he's been all action. You can't take Carrick off. He isn't going to take Pogba or Zlatan off. It's obviously going to be Mkhitaryan, and we're just going to do without a right-sided player. And I think that's counterproductive, because I think Mata probably deserved to come on today, but he couldn't come on because there wasn't enough. You'd have had to sub a sub, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I wouldn't have taken Mkhitaryan off. I know he was fading, and that's because of the lack of fitness, because he was thrown out in the cold under Mourinho for the last couple months. So you might play Mkhitaryan these last couple months, and we'd be in a totally different league position. I fully believe that. Yeah, he's Jose Mourinho. I'll never. I wanted Jose Mourinho. We all wanted Mourinho. Most of us. I know a lot of people in the United States. I know you did. I did. We're 3 months into a project. It's not going to turn around overnight. It's going to take another transfer window. Obviously my expectations when we signed Pogba, when we got Zlatan, when we got Bailly and Mkhitaryan, I thought no problem. I didn't expect the other teams to be this good. I didn't expect Liverpool and Arsenal to be as good as they've been. I think a lot of people will say that. It's just going to take time. We're looking at defensive targets in January. But you can't start going Jose out after 3 months when if a couple months ago you were all about Jose Mourinho. That's just you can't keep flip flopping. You kind of lose credibility, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I've just tweeted it out, so we'll probably get hopefully a few more people and a few more opinions flying in. Telepathic Entity says, love the United stand and really like your opinions and the way you present the show. But an enormous proportion of fans, myself included, are Josie out. He's totally lost our support. I would appreciate a little bit more so we can try and grasp it, because obviously Joey's not Jose out. And I'm certainly not. I mean, and you've got to throw a positive on this. And the positive is, and Joey's touched on it perfectly there, there is a perfect storm of badness for Manchester United, unfortunately, at the moment. And it revolves around two things. One, what Joey said there about, unfortunately, if you compare the league season, especially last season to this season, there are 4 teams who've just bloody ran away with it and are pulling results in. And it's odd for 4 teams to do that. And that's why we are saying the first week in December, the top 4, well, I'm saying, I think he's gone. Because Chelsea, Arsenal, City and Liverpool have just gone away and they're winning games. So that's one thing that's unfortunate for a new manager who's trying to rebuild things. Because he is a new manager trying to rebuild things. The second thing is, when you throw into the cooker or whatever, the melting pot, whatever you want to call it, this is really sad now, because we've dropped 10 points through our own bad performances, bad decisions, whatever. I'm not counting losing to Chelsea. I'm not counting drawing at Anfield. I'm not counting losing to Watford or anything like that. I'm counting 10 definite points that we've dropped this season, that when you add them on, we're in a title race. And that's Arsenal at home. We know we should have won that. We contributed to that ourselves. Today, that's 2 points. That's 4. Obviously, the obvious ones, Stoke and Burnley at home. That was another 4 points. And West Ham last week. They are 10 points that we've given away, not through bad football, not through boring 0-0 draws that you might have had under Van Gaal. We should have won those games, and we let those points go. and they're the two bad things that are contributing to us, for me, as far as I'm concerned, this season. But the positive side, I would feed in, and I'm just going to have a quick look. Well, let's focus on this for a minute. Let's just see if people really are Jose out, because it's your show as much as it's ours, and if there are people with any relevant point, I mean, there's people saying Jose out, but I can't really see. All right, Rambo 339. Jose's finished. Look at the post-match interview. He was quick to criticise Shaw after the Watford game. Journalist asks him about Fellaini. Nothing. And Fellaini. No, that's about Fellaini. I'm just trying to. Mourinho said it was a good draw against a good Everton side. Really, that's from Peter Thor. I don't think he did. I think he was basically saying that we should have won the game, but a draw against Everton isn't necessarily a bad result. However, in the bigger picture, it's a bad result because a draw at Everton is not a bad result in any normal season. But when you've played like that, we should have won it, and 2, we couldn't afford a draw. But you've sort of touched on it there. I don't really understand why anybody is, other than frustration against the manager. But I suppose he has left himself a little bit open, I bet, Joey.
Of course he has. It's just the way he does it. It almost does seem like he's doing things the hard way. We all see the not the easy way, but the sensible way. You don't bring Fellaini on because we've seen it for 3 seasons. We know what he brings. He's very clumsy. Very odd player. There's a quote going around from Leon Osman. I don't know how true it is about, the Everton players didn't want him anywhere near their box because he was a liability.
No, that is spot on true. He said it. I actually was watching Sky Sports afterwards. He said, we didn't want him anywhere near the box because he's just an accident waiting to happen. And that is 100% true. Yeah,
I don't get Sky Sports. I get NBC. So, so you have that. And leaving Mkhitaryan out in the cold, I said that, there's just certain things. Taking Zlatan off might have been a smarter idea with 10, 15 minutes ago. Let Rashford, maybe move Martial up top. Hell, I would have even taken Lingard's pace trying to get in behind. I know a lot of people don't like him, but there was just other things, other ways to go about it. Not protecting these 1-0 leads. It's just annoying. It's frustrating. And I think that's mostly what it is. Fans are frustrated because we had an excellent summer, one of the best transfer windows, that we've seen probably ever, almost, in terms of star signings and quality at the time. You never know how those signings are going to pan out, but, there's a lot of expectation. And the media has stuff to do with that, too. We were billed as, us and City going to fight it out for the title, Jose versus Pep, Battle of Manchester. And it's turned out, like you said, we were talking earlier, that these 4 teams have ran away with it, and that's not common. So I think, we just have to try and get ourselves together. Got to get these 3 points against Spurs. See how the Europa League brings. Limp into the January transfer window, and just, hopefully this is a transitional season. I know it's frustrating because we had the transitional season under LVG. We had the second season of Louis van Gaal, which was that terrible December. It's not going to be that bad. There's no way it can be that bad. So I just think we have to try and keep a positive attitude towards it. Because when you start getting negative, you start saying Jose out, you start getting on certain players' backs on Twitter. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't help. It doesn't help the club. It doesn't help the situation. So that's what I would say about that.
No, I think as well. I think you're right. I mean, we should all be old enough to remember Moyes, and it was shocking football. And I think he had more points than Mourinho now, but it was bad football, and there wasn't that many people wanting him out at this stage. Van Gaal definitely got 18 months from most people because it was Christmas when I think the United stand said that enough is enough. So that's 18 months in. So 3 months in, I just think unfortunately we do sort of merge them together and count them as the same thing because it's been so bad for 3 years that you sort of it's the same old rubbish, Mourinho out. And this tends to happen with smaller clubs and we shouldn't let it happen here. You merge your... because I remember Liverpool hounding Roy Hodgson out quite quickly because it merges into how bad things are. I think he's a new manager. He has made signings, and I get fed up of the press and for rival fans saying, "Oh, the money you've spent, you should be in top 4." Well, the money he's spent have actually been arguably good or okay signings. It's everything. Fellaini cost us the points today. That's not his signing. So, but I must just say as well. David Hopwood says it's not Jose's fault. It's the team making individual mistakes each game. I disagree on that today. I think today he had an opportunity to bring You know, if you want somebody who's clever to shield the back four, Daley Blind. If you want somebody big to get on the end of the high ball, Eric Bailly. If you want to throw 2 points away, Fellaini. And I think that you hopefully will learn his lesson. Because I tell you what, if he doesn't learn his lesson, it's sabotage. Because every United fan knows that you put Fellaini into that situation and you are really, really walking a tightrope. And hopefully he'll move on for that. But picking up with what Joey said there, it is early days. I do trust Mourinho. I think he's the right man. And also, the football's been pretty good. We just need to get that second goal. I think the league, I was going to say, before I move on to this positive, because there is one, do you think Mourinho is the sort of manager that today, with 5 minutes to go, 1-0 up, he just was like, I need to get 3 points, and he probably did something out of, desperation to try and get 3 points? Or do you think he would have done that no matter what situation United were in?
I think no matter what, he would have done that. I think that's just his MO. He's going to go on. He's going to get defensive. He's talked about trying to implement a different style, something that he's even himself said he wouldn't normally do. But at the same time, he's always going to go back to his roots, and his roots are defensive football. 1-0 leads, 1-0 games. Grinding out results, and that's just Jose Mourinho, and we're going to have to deal with that. But what I would ask fans too is, you're sitting there saying Jose Mourinho out. There's nobody else out there right now that we could go out and get as a manager. So I don't understand people's logic with that. He is the best available. There was no other choice for me. So I'm with Jose. I'm riding it till the wheels fall off. I'm going to the grave with this one.
Well, yeah, I said that, and I think everyone should give him a year anyway. And I think at least 3 transfer windows. So I think this time next year is the time to think where we are, and a year and a half is what he should get. He should get a year and a half and 3 transfer windows. But you look at some of the positives he's done. I totally agree with what he did with Rooney. He's the first one to consistently drop him, and even when Rooney's played okay, he's put him on the bench. I think that's a positive. And I think even the Rooney lovers couldn't find a way of saying we missed Rooney today, because I didn't see any missing of Rooney. I'd like Rooney to not have been suspended and been on the bench instead of Fellaini. I think that would have helped, but that's the only thing I would say about that. He's done, again. He's not contradicted himself. He did say we won't have as many injuries under me as we did under Van Gaal. I think he underestimated what problems United have with injuries, because he's been playing Rojo and Jones at centre back, and we've not been losing games. That's got to be a positive. I wouldn't say Phil. It's just popped into my head about Jones actually, because Joey said it as well. I wouldn't put Phil Jones anywhere near man of the match today, and I think if you are a watcher of football, you would realise that Phil Jones nearly cost us a couple of goals today. We are abysmal on crosses. There was the one where the Everton player in the second half headed it down at De Gea's feet. Phil Jones isn't even jumping. He's caught under a cross. We are.
Enter Valencia.
Yeah, Enter Valencia. We are awful. I am terrified every time a cross comes in our box. Nobody goes and attacks it, and and also at the other end, it's the same thing. I've said it so many times. You're going to get bored. When we get a corner or a cross, I say just give it to Everton, because we're not going to do anything. We are awful on crosses. So there's still massive problems, but Bailly being back's a positive. We need a centre back in January. The big positive I wanted to touch on, Joey, is the Europa League. Can't believe I'm saying these words. The Europa League gives us a place in the Champions League. Now, regardless of what we've been saying about dropping points, I think, especially at Old Trafford, we've been playing good football. And the positive about the Europa League is that to get to the final, it's 2 legs. One of those legs is always at home. And I think our home form, with the players we've got, and I think a lot of our players are better suited to European football, I think we can win the Europa League. I just think it's like at what point we really do, if we do, go for it. And also, I think if we go for it, we've got to sacrifice the league, because history, like you said before about something else, history shows us that if you try and go for top 4 and Europa League, you'll end up with neither.
Yeah, you look at it, and I think the biggest thing, there's a few teams, I was just looking at the tape, because I don't really... I watch United in the Europa League, but I'm not sitting there religiously watching it. Schalke are in it; they're a decent side. Roma's another team. You got Zenit. You never want to go away to Russia, especially in the wintertime. And then you worry about the teams dropping in from the Champions League. But other than that, you look around and you look at the team today. I mean, if we had Smalling and Bailly, maybe different story. Also, I wanted to ask you about Darmian's performance because I thought when De La Feo came on, he absolutely roasted him at left back. I don't know if Luke Shaw's hurt again or what's going on there, but I would rather Jose, swallowed his pride or Luke Shaw and they got rid of whatever is between them because Luke Shaw is probably couldn't be the best left back in England. So I want to see that happen. And I would ask the live commenters, too, what do they think about Darmian at left back? But, yeah, you're worried about the teams dropping in from the Champions League, but we could easily win the Europa. Not easily, but we could win the Europa League. It's something that I would probably see where I'm at the end of December, see what the table looks like. I hope Feyenoord can do us a favor and beat Fenerbahce so we can win the group. That way we can, get a more favorable draw. So, yeah, it's crazy that we're talking about the Europa League, but it might be our ticket into the Champions League because not just the fact of attracting star players. I just, the Champions League has this lore about it. The music. You're playing the best teams. When we were in it under Sir Alex, I always wanted to face the best teams. I didn't want an easier draw. I want to play the best in Europe. You want to see how your team stacks up. So we just got to get back into it.
I don't think we've ever been out of the Champions League for 2 years running either. Obviously, Moyes' first season we were in it. Van Gaal's first season we weren't. His second season we were in it. This season we're not. So we don't want that to happen. We've got to be in the Champions League for the sort of players that Mourinho will want to sign. I agree with Joey on that. JG Ballard says you sacrifice Europa for a league push, not the other way around. I totally agree with what Joey says, and I think that what that comment is getting at as well. The good thing about the Europa League is it will be parked until February after this Thursday, and we just have to do everything we can in the league. And I think when the Europa League starts up in mid-February, we look at where we are in the league and we make a decision. And I think if we are anything more than 5 points off fourth place, like we are now, we prioritise the Europa League. It's common sense. If we are within 5 points of fourth place, I probably would agree with JG Ballard, and I would go for the league. I don't know if that scenario, Joey, middle of February, Europa League kicks in, we're 4 points off fourth place. Which way would you go? Would you try and go for both, or would you just go, you know what, we've got to focus on one?
It would depend on the draw, to be honest. It would depend on who we had in that first draw. But 4 points off of fourth place that's nothing. So I'd probably go for the top four, just because there's some decent teams in the Europa League. Schalke, with Roma and all those, and it's tough. It's too tough, the Europa League. I would probably go for top four. I just want to touch on a comment I saw. They were talking about Real Madrid, Barca, or Bayern going after. Could you imagine if they were, talking about should they go out for the Europa League? But could you also imagine if they lost the best manager ever, in all of sports, and then, tried to find themselves? So that's what I would say to a comment like that.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to say about the Europa League as well. We get people asking a lot about this, and I have mentioned it before. And they say, "Oh, Europa League. Why can't you win the Europa League and do well in the league? People do well in the Champions League." But I spell it for you very easily. Europa League is Thursday to Sunday. It's rigid. It's Thursday, Sunday. It's and we've had a couple of games this year where we've played Thursday night and then we've had a 12 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday, which is ridiculous. It's not good enough. It's not quick enough to turn around as consistent as that. Champions League, people say, well, it's Wednesday to Saturday. It's not always. Sometimes it's Tuesday to Sunday, or it's Wednesday to Sunday. They get more of a gap, and that's a hell of a difference. And I think that explains it as well as I could do. Just before I move on, Brad McNamee says Jose has to be blamed. Everyone knew when Fellaini come on it would be a draw or a loss, and he's not happy. I agree with that, but you've got to look at a bigger picture for sure. Just picking up what Joey said there about Darmian. I like Darmian. I think we both like Darmian because we both pretty much like Italian football. But I don't understand. There's a few things, which brings us into the next thing. There's a few things where I would be critical. I was critical on Wednesday night, even though we won. And I said, I don't know, if Fosu Mensah can't even be on the bench in a League Cup game at home to West Ham, when West Ham are putting out their reserve midfield, and we're still putting out our first team, and we can't even put Fosu Mensah on the bench, who I think is ready and is better than Fellaini, baffled. And Daley Blind, his best position, and I'm a big fan of Blind, is left back. So I don't know. I mean, I thought Darmian did okay, but again, I think some of the decisions are odd because Darmian was nowhere near the first team. and now suddenly he's our first choice left back. He's odd, and I don't know what Daley Blind's done wrong. It's like he picks on certain players. Like somebody was saying before, Luke Shaw got into a load of trouble for the Watford game. I know Daley Blind had a bad game about a month ago, and he's found it very hard to get into the first team. But yeah, I mean, Darmian, I'm a big fan of Delafeu, and I think he's very dangerous when he comes on for the last half an hour, and I think he was really causing Darmian issues. But Luke Shaw's injured was the answer to that. But I mean, I can't see us using Twancy, but I can't see us using Fosu Mensah much this season.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. You know, we saw Fosu Mensah, I think it was against Spurs last season. He absolutely killed it. And then he got taken off, and I think we conceded like 2 or 3 goals. It's a strange one. He would have been an ideal candidate to come on today for Mkhitaryan. You know, there are some strange decisions that he's made, and he hasn't really used certain players. Again, I don't know. Darmian wasn't anywhere near the team. He wasn't even in the squad. Same thing with Memphis. Some days Memphis will be on the bench, and it's like, well, we haven't seen him in weeks. It's just a strange one. I can't wait till the transfer window in January to see what players leave, anything coming in. I know a center back's probably going to come in. But yeah, it's frustrating. I would have rather preferred Daley Blind at left back today, because like I said, Delafeu had him on skates, but Delafeu is a quality player in terms of delivery and pace and trickery. So yeah, it's just transitional season, I hope.
I mean, I can't moan too much. I did the preview on Friday night, and that, you know, I always do my team and Jose's team, and they're miles apart because I think that's what he'll do. This is what I would do. And actually, my team that I went with was the team tonight, apart from Daley Blind in at left back for Darmian. So I was very happy with the starting lineup. It just we'd won that game. It's just the Fellaini decision was baffling. Read some of the comments, and then I want to ask Joe something else as well. HQ77, Jose was never good enough for United, in my opinion. He's too negative. I think he's been very attacking, to be honest. Mahmoud Osman, I think Valencia is doing great, but only for 1 or 2 years. And why ain't Januzaj playing? Because he's at Sunderland. Whoever asked that. Anyone who brings Fellaini on needs to be assessed, says Tesla Ray Gun 21. I do agree with that. I can't. What's the word? I can't excuse him or feel sorry for him for that, but you know, I still think he's the right one. Jose in, United fans should be patient, says James Lambert. Yep, and we should just be going all out till we get a second goal lead, says Lynn Hall. It's been proved we can't defend a 1-goal lead. And again, you know, Lynn often does this. She pops in with a comment like that, and I think that is probably the best one I personally have read. My opinion is spot on. We need to be going for the second goal instead of trying to defend the 1 goal, because we haven't got the team to do it. We haven't got the defenders to do it. And there you go. And Shaka Phillips says, do you think Manolas would come in January? I would take Manolas because he's brilliant in the air, and that's what we need, but I don't think there's any chance of him coming. I know you're a bit of a connoisseur of Italian football, Joey. I think any chance of Manolas?
Probably not. You know, I don't know Roma's league position. I know they're up there or thereabouts. But I know Milan are doing a lot better. But no, you can't see Roma selling probably their best defender. You know, I can't pronounce the guy's name who's coming in January, the Swedish guy from Benfica. Lindelof, the guy who I don't know much about him, so I can't say much. But he looks like the obvious one to come in, and it makes you wonder, you know, what's Chris Smalling's future? You know, he hasn't obviously lived up to his performances of last season, so it'll be a strange one. I think you're looking for Bailly's partner, and I think once you find that and we get Bailly back, you know, it sucks that he's going to go to the Cup of Nations, but you know, you feel like you have to build from the back. You have to build this rock solid foundation in the back. Valencia, you know, he's got to be.
I'm just laughing at a comment. It's all right. Go on, carry on.
Oh, Valencia's played better. No, go ahead. I want to hear it now.
It just popped up, and it was like. There's a song to it, and it basically goes boom, boom, boom. I want Jose in my womb. I will bang Herrera and suck off Pereira. I just sort of read it, and the tune came in, but then I carried on reading it, and it just made me laugh.
That's funny. All right, so somebody correct me. Roma are second in Serie A and 4 points off top. So Manolas ain't happening.
No,
that's not happening. But you just hope that we are a bit unlucky. but it seems like maybe it's going to turn around. That if he doesn't put Fellaini on, we get 3 points today. Like I said, I'm hoping this is his moment where it's like, all right, I can't trust Fellaini. Mourinho puts his trust in Fellaini, and Fellaini pretty much smacks him in the face and says, here's a stupid penalty. And the worst part is he does the whole,
it was stonewall, wasn't it?
Oh, it was definitely a penalty. And I also want to say that Rojo is a very, very, very lucky boy because that was a straight red every day of the week. Thank God Michael Oliver was the referee. He gets them more wrong than right, and he didn't send him off because it was a horrible tackle. I don't even know what he's thinking. You just hope that Smalling and Bailly can just get back sooner than later because while Rojo and Jones are playing well, it's not against the best competition, is it?
No. Just on the Rojo thing, it made me laugh again because we do the watch along when the game's live, and obviously I'm live talking about the game. We've got a load of people on the live comments, and the Rojo thing. Everyone was saying, Mark, I love this channel. You're so unbiased. You said he should have been sent off, and I was like, I mean, come on. I've been slating.
You couldn't even defend that.
But I cannot slate that. He's in the air. He's 2-footed. I mean, you know what? Even if that was my favourite play, Roy Keane in his prime doing that, I would have said, yeah. It's like he's one on Haaland. I think Haaland. You just got to go. And he was lucky. And the sad thing is, we didn't win anyway. But I think if he'd gone off, we weren't going to win that game. It would have been a point anyway. So he's very lucky. He should have got a red card, and that shouldn't be forgotten as well, really, because if De Gea saves that penalty, Fellaini's still an idiot for what he did, and it was a stonewall penalty. And I think Joey's right. I really hope that Mourinho, he was wrong, but he did trust Fellaini to do a job in 5 minutes, and within 2, he'd ruined it. And hopefully that's it. That's the end of him, but we'll see. MUFC 689908 says Pereira would be great to get back next season. Well, he will come back in the summer, but I think I wanted to say this as well. Do you think that, well, no Schweinsteiger today, no Schneiderlin, no Memphis, no Ashley Young on the bench instead of them? You've got Fellaini, you've got Lingard, you've got obviously Blind and people like that. Do you think the problem with United is we've just got this massive squad of players who actually they're just they're decent, but they're not good enough?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think, we have too many players who are average. I still think I'm baffled by Memphis because I thought he was going to be a star. I thought he had it. I thought he had the drive. I thought he had the attitude. You need a bit of that, almost like Zlatan, you need that cockiness. I thought Memphis was going to be a star. And I thought Van Gaal was just the wrong manager for him, but he can't get a look in. Talking about Lingard, another one, average player, nothing more than a squad player, come off a bench in a League Cup game or start a League Cup game. And sometimes you need those players in your squad. So, I mean, I'm not asked to see him here. It doesn't bother me as long as he's not starting in big games and in games that we need to win. Schneiderlin, another one, I thought, he had been so good at Southampton, but, I guess he came up from, League One, League Two, just doesn't have the mentality. However, I still think that he would have been a better option to bring on with 5 minutes to go because I think he would have been able, to protect the back four along with Carrick. They played together last season and they were all right. But yeah, there's just too many average players, and I think that's another thing. We got the starters in, the Mkhitaryan's, the Pogbas, the Zlatans, Martial, and I think we just need to put a little bit of the squad players around it that can come in and do a job here and there. And we're going to see that happen. There's going to be another max exodus this summer, and we're going to see different players come in, and they won't be players like, with Louis van Gaal, he wanted players who can play multiple positions. You're going to have specialist players that can play one position, they can do that job, and they do that well. I hope.
Yeah. I mean, I want to ask you what one player you really think United need to go and get. For me, I mean, we did the video on the centre-backs last night, and it was like Lindelof, obviously from Benfica, Jimenez from Atletico Madrid, Howard from Schalke, and Van Dijk, obviously from Southampton. And the one thing about all those is they are competitive dual players who, they want to win the ball, whether it's in the air or not, and I think that's what United need. I just think he's done such a good job with Rojo and Jones in dire circumstances because there's nobody else. He sort of taught Rojo to stop jumping in, although he did it today with 2 legs. And he sort of...
He did all right against Lukaku. I know Lukaku got him the first time, but he grew into the game and did all right against Lukaku, other than that challenge.
I mean, I've been.
Go ahead.
I've been
No,
critical.
I just said he wasn't. No, you.
You go now.
No, you.
Rojo, I've always been critical of because I just think he's a shocking defender. I think he's got quite a good delivery with his left foot, but he either dives in and gets skinned by anybody, or he stands too far off and they'll shoot and score. And I think Mourinho has, because he's very good, and I trust him with any centre-back. I think the Bay thing is a perfect example. He's good at getting centre-backs and making them making a difference. And he has basically, it's obvious. He's had a word with Rojo and he's had a word with Phil Jones. What I'm disappointed with is why he's not been able to get either of those two to just go and attack the ball when it's in the air, whether it's in our box or in their box, because I think that's where we are lacking at the moment. We just really need. I know it's a cliche to say Vidic-esque, but we need, and we're gonna. But Bay was like that. The reason we all liked him the first few games is he was just combative. He was getting a lot of yellow cards, but he was going up and winning everything in the air. He was doing the 50-50s, and unfortunately, when he does get back, he's going to be off in January anyway. But I think that's what we need. We need Mourinho-type centre-backs, not just one, two, who complement each other, and they go and win anything in the box. You've got to, people talk about zonal defending or marking your man or anything like that. You just, as a defender, if it's in your area, just go and bloody win it. Don't worry about anybody else.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Centre-back would be my choice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still thinking Chris Smalling can be Bailly's partner. I agree a center-back is needed. But I think in terms of, next summer, I'm looking at the most important signing is Antoine Griezmann. I think, he's borderline superstar, can be up there in that top tier with, you're looking at Messi and Ronaldo, they're getting on. Who's going to be the next ones to take it? And I think Griezmann can be one of those players. Same thing with Paulo Dybala. I think they're just quality players that, are waiting to really take that next step, and I think they will. And I think also, I know he probably wants the 7 shirt, but he might be a candidate for the 10 shirt to replace Rooney, because I think he's a perfect replacement for Rooney. I think that Griezmann can play as the secondary striker. We saw his best games in the Euros come when, I know Giroud was the striker, but his best games came behind Giroud, and even Giroud was scoring goals in the Euros. So I think you play him under Zlatan, and I think goals will happen. I think he's fast, he's good in the air. He's just my ideal replacement for Rooney.
And Safami Dan says we won't get him in January, but I guarantee we'll get him in the summer, and you can quote me on that. There's a few Arsenal fans on tonight. There's always a few, and they're saying you've got no chance of getting Griezmann. All I'd say to that is, if we can get Pogba off the back of a season with Van Gaal with no Champions League football, United can sign anybody, and I really do not think Champions League football makes that much of a difference when it comes to Manchester United. And I think we can do that deal. I really hope that we will be doing it from a position of strength. I think Champions League football will make it certain. But I think that deal can be done. I think United can go toe-to-toe with anybody and sign anybody. And I think we certainly could do that.
Especially when the player is sitting there saying, I would like to play with Pogba. I ask him what Jose Mourinho's like. David Beckham's my hero. That's why I wear a long sleeve shirt and wear number 7. So I think that's written all over.
And also, just very quickly as we talk Pogba there, I don't know whether people, again going back to Italian football, I don't know whether people know a lot about Pogba and his position and where he has been playing well for Juventus, but it's certainly not off the striker. I think I wanted him to play there today because I thought he could do it, and I wanted to play Carrick and Herrera, and a lot of people wanted it to be Carrick, Pogba, Mata. That is his best position, isn't it? Box to box. It's not as the number 10, and it's certainly not as a DM. It's either in a midfield 3 as one of the more attacking midfielders, or but it's not as a number 10.
No, it is. It's in a midfield 3 with one behind him, with a partner like Herrera, and he's on more of the left side because he likes to drift out to the left side. Normally, that's what he did for Juventus. He was brilliant. People have to get this idea out of their head that he's going to be this. He's not going to score 10, 15, 20 goals. He might get to 8, 9, 10, but he's not going to score more than that. He's not going to, create a whole bunch of assists. He's going to have more key passes and more tackles. And today it wasn't a good example of it, but he rarely loses the ball. The way he shields people off the ball. I mean, I forget who it was today, but he just sat them down completely. I'm trying to think of who it was. I even tweeted it out, but he absolutely sat the player down and just made him look like a child.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pogba and Zlatan weren't great today, and I'm not saying they were bad. I think it was, there was a lot of average performances today. But I think where Pogba went wrong today, he was quite combative. His passing was okay, but where it went wrong for United, and the reason we didn't get the second goal, is he got a lot of the ball around their box in the final third and wasted it with bad passing or losing possession, and that is why we didn't really get the second goal, because he was in the position where Mata's been playing quite well, that's where the chances come from. And I just think we lacked that today. And I agree with Joey. Zlatan was coming deep, and Pogba wasn't really providing anything in the final third, which led to us not really creating many chances, which is opposed to what we've been doing a lot of. Granted, at home, we have been creating a lot of chances. I can't really think of any chance today, other than the Zlatan one, that was like, we should have scored that. I can't really remember one, apart from the Herrera one. The Herrera bar. And that period of play just before it, where Mkhitaryan cut inside, hit it with his left. It was probably going in, but it hit the defender. And then that's from that. I think that was where, straight after that, the same period of play, Herrera hit the bar anyway. So it was like one chance. But apart from that, I don't really remember it. And if Everton did have a good couple of chances, there was that Morales, great save by De Gea. There was that one you were on about, Enner Valencia, where he headed it at De Gea. So they probably had better clear-cut chances, even though we feel, and we should, have won the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I was just thinking about this now. We're talking about Pogba and Zlatan today and how they were average, and I think that shows that our expectations for them are so high.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because they're great players, and we expect more of them. And I think it shows a night and day difference. If they would have performed today, last year, we would have been ecstatic. And I think that shows the turnaround that's come. And I think we are playing more attacking football. And I think this team today played like, that it was the first time that this attacking lineup had played together. So I think if you give them time to gel, you get Mkhitaryan going, because I think he has to be involved in the game. You have to get him, on the ball, running at defenders, cutting in, shooting. This guy can put up 10, 15 goals and 10, 15 assists. He did it last year in the Bundesliga. The guy's quality, and you get Martial going again. It'll come. It will come. I'm fully confident that it'll come, and if it doesn't, I'll hold my hand up and say I was wrong.
Yeah, I think going forward, we've got to keep Martial on the left, and we've got to keep Mkhitaryan in the team, whether it's on the right or at number 10, probably on the right. But I was really impressed with Martial today. There's no way he should be out the team. I do worry about Zoya on Thursday, because I think, if somebody plays well in that game, will he change it all again against Spurs? But I'd pretty much go with this team against Spurs, and I think it will win. I don't think anybody should be forcing their way into that team. But we'll have to wait and see. There was a comment in there that I just spotted that was...
I saw one I liked too, and it was talking about Jose and how he had all second half of last season to assess the team, see what, so none of this should come as a surprise to him. And I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, I do, but you know what? I think as well, maybe adding a bit of seasoning to that argument, I was always surprised that he didn't get rid of some of the deadwood. We just got rid of young players in the summer. He seemed to want to give everyone a chance, and I'm not being arrogant here, but if he picked up the phone or just watched the show, I think, and I think this is reflective of most Manchester United opinion. The same 5 players we were all talking about in the summer selling would have been Rojo, Fellaini, Jones. There was a couple of Ashley Young, and some people said Rooney. But pretty much you could have got rid of 5 squad players there that aren't going to really contribute a hell of a lot. So that did surprise me a bit. But in fairness to him as well, he wanted Renato Sanchez, and the club stalled and was wanting to keep Van Gaal, and they only decided on Mourinho when we couldn't get top 4 anymore. So, I don't know. He definitely had.
Yeah, they said they didn't want to let Van Gaal in on the fact that he was getting sacked. I think that's why they stalled on the Renato Sanchez. And I haven't watched much Bundesliga this year, but I heard he has not been very good for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, he's bloody good on FIFA. Not that I've played it for a while, but no, I think we've covered absolutely everything. It's fantastic to have Joey back on the show. There's some really good comments on the live comments, so please do drop us a like. Thanks for coming on, Joey. Let everyone know what your Twitter is, and is it a flash in the pan, or are you going to be back more consistently?
No, I'll be back more. I've been busy with school and work, but my Twitter is @JoeyTabor. You can get me there, or I'll be on the shows more often, and we'll come on and we'll talk, and it's been real fun.
Cool. I was saying today on the watch along, we're not changing any of the shows. We're still going to be doing Sunday Night Live watch alongs for all the games, Friday night preview. But tomorrow night, as always, 8:30, Skype Goldbridge, Skype the United Stand, whatever you want to call it. We're live at 8:30, live like this, but instead of Joey or Ross or Alex, Skype in. Tell us what you want to talk about. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people picking up on some of the things we've said tonight. Maybe people will be a bit Jose out. Take the opportunity. Is your channel, and I'm really looking forward to that tomorrow night. But we are going to change things slightly in relation to how we do things, but the shows will stay the same, and that probably start picking up, well, definitely in the next week. 2 weeks tonight is going to be our Christmas special show. Hopefully Joe will come on that. We'll get Alex and a couple of the others on as well. But yeah, not the ideal end to a weekend. Certainly felt we should have won that game. Angry after it, but actually feel quite relaxed about it now. Sort of knew a couple of weeks ago this wasn't going to be very easy. Top 4 for me is gone, but I do agree with those who are still positive that anything can happen. I just think, as I said about half an hour in, there's a perfect storm that's not a perfect storm for United, and that is Chelsea, Arsenal, City and Liverpool just doing something that teams haven't done for a long time and actually getting away from everyone else. And us now dropping 10 points that we should have had when you look at those games. But also, very quickly, I will ask you this, Joey. Chelsea and Liverpool, obviously, they have no European football. That is a massive, 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 and not a coincidence where they are.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. They're fresh. You can tell that. You know, Conte has not stumbled upon because he is the master of the three at the back. I like Antonio Conte a lot. I really hate that he's in London with Chelsea. You know, if we hadn't got Mourinho, I was on the record as saying I wanted Antonio Conte. But it is interesting how a lot of people have changed their tune of you can't win the Premier League with three at the back to Antonio Conte is a genius, and I think that shows the hypocrisy of the media. I wanted to say that, but yeah, no surprise that those two are up there. I would watch out for Liverpool stumbling because I don't think now, especially with Coutinho out, you know, you saw it today, they lose 4-3. I think the way they play football, you know, it happened at Dortmund after a few seasons. I know he's fresh into this job, but it's really hard to play balls to the wall for 90 minutes, 38 games a season, even if you don't have Europe.
Yeah, and you know what? For those Liverpool or Chelsea fans who are on here, I really hope Chelsea win the league because I hate Liverpool. But because we're not going to do it, and I probably would have liked Spurs to do it, but they're not going to win it either. But it is a massive advantage. We saw it with Leicester last year. When you've got a whole week off to prepare for a game, and we saw Chelsea there. I think they had an 8-day gap, and we played 3 games in 7 days when we played them the third time. It's a massive advantage. Leicester definitely benefited it from last year. They basically played no competition because they got knocked out early of the League Cup and the FA Cup. So you prepare all week, whether it's tactics or anything like that. I think City won it the year before that. Obviously they weren't in it. But the year before that, when Liverpool should have won it, again, no European football, preparing all week. Brendan Rodgers, they used to go and bombard teams in the first half, get 3 or 4-0 up and the game's won. It's a big advantage. But next year, who will that advantage fall to? Hopefully not us, but I don't. You know, that's the problem with winning the League Cup, isn't it? You win the League Cup, you don't get Champions League, you're back in the Europa League, and I think being in the Europa League is very, very hard to get in the top 4. But as we're seeing now, but I'm rambling. Thanks everybody for calling. See you all tomorrow night at 8:30 for Skype Goldbridge or Skype the United Stand, whatever, and get Skyping in and give us your thoughts. And enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a good weekend. And very quickly, Joey, a few people were asking, what is your Twitter? It's at Joey
Tabor, Tabor.
Tabor after Joey, at Joey Tabor. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all very soon, and please drop the video a like.